Welcome to the moonLight of Emuna, Parshas Vayishlach. This week's learning should be a schus for a full shlema for Charnamash Bas Vilcha, Shmuel Shezana Bechavachav, Menach Mordechai Ben Afir, Michaim Ben Sarah, Linishmas Heni Bas Chil Mechel, and Ratza Bas Menachem Mendel. So we have a few interesting things in this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha is really where we learn a lot of the ideas of anti-Semitism. We know that unfortunately the world has shown its true colors in recent weeks, the real truth of anti-Semitism, and a lot of that source is found in this week's Parsha. So we have a few interesting things in this week's Parsha. At the beginning of the Parsha, in the second pasuk, the very second pasuk of the Parsha, Yaakov sends a message to Esav. He says, "Im Lavan garti, I sojourned, I lived with Lavan, ve'echer aratan, I've been there till now." And Rashi gives us two pshatim on Lavan garti, what Yaakov was trying to tell Esav. He says, "Lo nasisi sar b'choshev el ger." I haven't become anybody important. I'm not a distinguished person. I'm just a sojourner. Eincha kedai l'snayisi. There's no reason for you to hate me. Al brachas abirchas avicha, because of the brachas of our father of Yitzchak, Shebracheni have igvir lachecha, that he told me that I would be powerful over you. Shareliniskaimabi, you see that it hasn't come true. And the second one, Rashi gives another pshat, Davaracha, Garti begamatria taryag. The word Garti is 613, the same letters as taryag. Kaloimar, im Lavan harasha Garti, I lived with Lavan, v'taryag mitzvah shamarti, and I kept all 630 mitzvahs, and I did not learn from Lavan's terrible actions. He had no influence on me. He had no impact on the way I lived my life. And the truth is, these two things sound very unrelated. One, and actually they sound quite opposite. The first one is Yaakov saying, I'm a nobody, I'm a nothing, there's no reason for you to be concerned, I'm not a threat to you, don't worry about me, there's no reason for you to kill me. The other one seems to say, I'm a very strong person, I kept Taryag mitzvahs even in the house of Lavan, I have a lot of importance in my life. I've been able to keep Torah mitzvahs. I am fulfilling the brachas of Yitzchak Avinu, of our father Yitzchak. So we could say that it's just a machlok. It's two different versions, but it would be nicer if we could make these get along. If we can make these two pshatim get along. Later in the parsha, when Yaakov and Esav finally meet up in Perek Lamed Gimel Pasuk Dalid, we know the pasuk. This is one of the more discussed psukim in the parsha. It says, "Vayoretz Esav lekrosei." Esav ran to greet Yaakov, Echabkeu, right, and he embraces him, he hugs him. Vayipal al tzavarav, he falls on his neck. Vayishakeu vayivku, and he kissed him, and they wept. And on the word Vayishakeu, there are dots on top of it, and Rashi explains what those dots are. And these two are also opposite explanations. Rashi says, Nokad olav, there's dots on top of the word Vayishakeu. V'yesh cholkim b'davar hazeh b'brayis of the Sifri. We have a machlokes in the Sifri. Yesh shadar shekudu zulem shlei nashku b'chol libay. Some say that he didn't kiss him wholeheartedly. We know the pshatim, that he really wanted to bite him, and Yaakov's neck turned to stone. But Amr B'Shimba Yechai says, halacha it's halacha b'yadua, that we know it's a well-known halacha, she'esav soin el Yaakov, that Esav hates Yaakov. But in that moment, his compassion was aroused for Yaakov, and he kissed him wholeheartedly. And these are obviously opposite. In one version, he wants to bite him, or he doesn't really want to kiss him, and the other one, he wants to kiss him, even though, despite the fact that we know that Esav is sign of Yaakov, that Esav hates Yaakov. And a few psukim earlier, we have another interesting encounter between Yaakov and the Malach that he grapples with, that he struggles with. And he fights with this Sar Shel Esav. We know it's the ministering angel of Esav. He has this fight, and after Yaakov wins the fight with this angel, the angel asks him, the Malach asks him. This is in the previous parak Lamed Beis, at the end of the parak pasuk Chav Zayin. It starts, it says, Vayomer shalchani ke'olah hashachar. The Malach says, please send me away because it's already the morning. Vayomer le'ashachach kim berchtani. I can't send you away until I won't send you away until you bless me. So the Malach says to Yaakov, Ma shemecha, what's your name? Vayomer Yaakov, he says Yaakov, and he says Vayomer Yaakov shemcha, your name won't be Yaakov anymore, Kim Yisrael, but it'll be Yisrael. Why? Because kisarisa im elihim v'manashim v'tuchal. Because you have struggled with gods and with man, and you have overcome. So the angel asks Yaakov his name. Yaakov says Yaakov, and he says, now you're Yisrael. And then in pasuk Lamed it says Vayishal Yaakov Vayomer. Yaakov then asks the Malach and says Hagidina Shemecha. Tell me your name. Vayomer Lama Zet Tishal Lishmi. What do you need to ask me my name? Vayivarach Yisei Sham, and he blessed him there. Now the issue with this is, The angel just asked Yaakov his name, and Yaakov answered him. Now, when Yaakov returns the favor, he says, "Why are you asking my name?" So Rashi over there tells us, "Lama zeh tishal ein lanu shem kavua." The angel is telling him we don't have a set name. Mishtanin shmeiseinu hakol lefi mitzvahs avodas hashlicha shanu mishtalchim. Our names change as angels. We have certain missions. Hashem gives us certain missions. Our names changed based on the mission that we're doing at that moment. I don't have a set name. But the angel, if you look at the pasuk, the angel sounds like he's annoyed. Why are you asking me my name? Even though he had just done the same thing to Yaakov. He had asked Yaakov his name. So I saw several thoughts on this, and I don't remember where all of them were from, and I'm sort of making my own little cholent here to put them together. So I hope it makes sense. You'll let me know. You can give me feedback if it doesn't, or if it does. But all of the ideas I've seen in other places, but I'm putting it together in my own way. When Yaakov originally sends Esav a message, and he says these two ideas, that I lived with Lavan and I'm a nobody. I was just a ger there. I didn't even have a home. I was a nobody. And then he tells him, but I also kept the Taryag mitzvahs. You should know I was able to withstand Lavan. What Yaakov is telling Esav is, he says, look, I know, like we saw in the later Rashi from the Medrash, that you hate me. Esav son of Yaakov, that is built into existence. Anti-Semitism is part of existence. Esav hates Yaakov. That's just the way it is. What Yaakov is saying is, but I understand why. We know in every generation, and we're always trying to grapple with this. Why do they hate us so much? What's the source of this hatred? The reason they hate us has nothing to do with who we are. So Yaakov starts off saying, I was a nobody for the last 22 years. I was living by Lavan. I didn't have my own place. I worked as a shepherd. I was a nobody. I was a nobody there. And yet you still hate me. There's no reason to hate me. When I'm a nobody, you hate me. You know why you hate me? Because in Lavan Garti v'Taryag mitzvah shemarti, I have the light of Hashem. And it doesn't even have to mean, Yaakov of course kept all Taryag mitzvahs, but it doesn't even have to mean a Jew who's keeping Torah and mitzvahs. But a Jew automatically is connected to that light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the light of the Torah. And that's why you hate me. It doesn't matter if I'm a nobody. It doesn't matter if I'm being persecuted. You hate me because I'm being persecuted. If I have power and I become somebody, you hate me because I have power. The reasons seem to change every time you need an excuse to hate me. But you hate me, the real reason you hate me, regardless of the fact that I'm a nobody, even if the brachas didn't come true, you're ostensibly your reason for hating me is because I stole the brachas. But even when you see that for 22 years none of those brachas came true, you hate me. You know why? Because Taryag mitzvah shamarti, because I'm connected to Hashem and I'm connected to Torah. Because I represent light and you represent darkness, and darkness hates the light, because we know that ma'at min ha'or is doicha harbe min ha'choshech, that a little bit of light can push away, can dispel lots of darkness, and therefore I present a danger to your way of life. I illuminate, right? We know famously many of the famous anti-Semites, I don't want to say their names because they shouldn't be part of Dvar Torah, said that the Jews, one of the most famous anti-Semites said that the Jews inflicted Mila on the body. This was the crime of the Jews. We inflicted bris milah on the body and conscience on the soul. By being connected, Yaakov is telling Esav, by being connected to the light, by being connected to Torah, that's why you hate me. Nothing I can do. You could have Jews that could be fully assimilated. They're not even fully Jewish, only some grandparent was Jewish, but there's a connection to the light of Torah, to the light of Hashem, and that's why you hate me. You come up with different excuses. You'll say it's because I stole your brachas. You'll say it was for different reasons, but you hate me because of that, because I am connected to Torah, because my neshama is connected to Torah. And this can also explain why Esav, why Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai explains that he says, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said that it's a halacha he biyadua that we know, Esav son of Yaakov, that Esav hates Yaakov, but at that moment his rachamim was inspired, and therefore he kissed him wholeheartedly. It doesn't seem to make sense. If Esav hates Yaakov, why would his rachamim be inspired? What is it that he's inspired to kiss Yaakov? And it may be that momentarily Esav sees the truth. Esav knows that his hatred for Yaakov is irrational. He knows that it's because he's to some degree he wants what Yaakov has, but he's not willing to do what needs to be done. He wants that light, but it threatens his whole way of life. And therefore, in a moment of weakness, he's inspired to say, "What am I doing?" Of course, he goes right back to hating him because he doesn't want to deal with the repercussions of having to acknowledge Yaakov, to acknowledge that Yaakov it does represent light, and he wants that light. He's just not willing to put in the time or the effort or to attach himself. Esav is able to. Esav is a child of Yitzchak. He's able to be attached to Torah and to Hashem if he wants to throughout his life. And for that one brief moment, he sees that. Yaakov told him, "Lavan Garti, you know why you hate me. You hate me because you wish you could be that. You could be part of that light, and you can be part of that light, but you're not willing to do what it takes." And therefore, Esav, for that one moment when he greets Yaakov, after Yaakov approaches him with all of these messages, with all of the gifts, with all of the children, and Esav has a momentary glimpse into what could be, what should be. He for a moment he feels his resolve dissolves, but he catches himself. He doesn't go along with Yaakov. He doesn't change his ways. He doesn't do the tshuva. But for a second there, he recognizes the truth, and we've seen this with anti-Semites throughout history. There are moments, after an attack, a terrible attack on Simchas Torah, there are moments where world opinion seems to defend the Jewish people, but very quickly it goes back to the old anti-Semitism. And this, I think, is how we can explain the conversation between Yaakov and the Sar Shel Esav, the Malach of Esav, when he asks Yaakov his name, and Yaakov tells him, "This is who I am." When he asks the Malach, "What's your name?" the name is what defines a person. A name is something that, this is who this person is. Yaakov is asking Sar Shel Esav, "Be honest. Why do you hate me? Tell me your name. Give me the definition of what it is that you hate me." And the Sar Shel Esav tells him, "I don't want to give you my name. I don't have a specific name." Meaning, depending on the moment. At some point it's going to be, "I'm going to hate you because you're too powerful and you own all the media and the protocols of the elders of Zion." At some point I'm going to hate you because you're lowly people and you're a dirty Jew. At some moments I'm going to hate you. Every generation and every group is going to have their own reason. I don't want to commit to one name. I'm going to find a reason to hate you no matter what it is, because it's ingrained in my makeup, because I can't handle the light dispelling my darkness. And therefore, says the Malach, "I know who you are. You are who you are. That's why we have a problem with you. I know I can ask you your name, because you are Yaakov. You're always Yaakov. You're Yaakov when you're up. You're Yaakov when you're down. You're Yaakov when things are good. You're Yaakov when you're in Eretz Yisrael. You're Yaakov when you're in Gullus. You're always Yaakov." You could answer that name. I can't answer that question. You have no right to ask me that question, because you know well enough, as you explained to Esav, but it's because you're connected to light, and I'm going to have to change my name throughout history to rationalize my anti-Semitism, that I'll be able to come up with some crazy explanation to be able to march in the streets to say from the river to the sea, even though it's so clear to anybody who could see clearly. But in order to see clearly, you need to have that light. If you want to live in darkness, I'm going to have to come up with all kinds of different excuses throughout history. I can't commit to one name. I can't tell you my name, and those somewhat fit in the words of Rashi. Rashi said, "Ein lanu shem kavu." We don't have a set name. Mishtanin shmeiseinu hakol lefi mitzvahs avodas hashlicha shanu mishtalchem. Right? Rashi's words are that the Malach is saying it's going to change based on the mission. The mission's always going to be the same. I'm going to have that mission to hate you and to try to do whatever I can to destroy the Jewish people. But that mission, the way the mission gets carried out, is going to change. It's going to change. It's going to take the form of the Romans at the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. It's going to take the form of the Spanish Inquisition. It's going to take the form of the Holocaust. It's going to take the form of Hamas and the Palestinians. It's going to take different forms throughout history. I can't give you one name. Today it's going to be Rome. Tomorrow it's going to be Spain. Then it's going to be Germany. Then it's going to be Palestinians. It's going to change. My name can't be consistent. I have to find new ways and new excuses to hate you, because we both recognize the underlying reason. The underlying reason is because you're Yaakov, because you're Yisrael. And even Yaakov's name doesn't change. It's added. He gets the additional name of Yisrael, but it doesn't change. Yaakov is who he is. And that's why they hate us. Because you have a name, I can't have a name, because I have to change based on the circumstances. Because it's your name that I hate. It's your essence that I hate. It's the Taryag Mitzvah Shamarti that I hate. It's the Esav Soinel Yaakov. The very fact that I'm Esav means that I have to hate Yaakov. I could have been a Yaakov just like you. I could have been a child of Yitzchak, and I could have been attached to the light of Torah and to the light of Hashem. But I chose to be Esav. The defining essence of being Esav is I'm the anti-Yaakov, and whatever the excuse is, that's the name I'm going to take on. So Mirz Hashem, we should be Zoicha very quickly to see the light of Yaakov push away all of the darkness of Esav, to not leave any room for it, to destroy this concept, this hatred of Esav to Yaakov. And we should see together, we should see very quickly in the most beautiful and the most lit up way to see the bring of Mashiach Tzidkenu, which will dispel all the darkness of Esav, will be the only way we finally put this to rest, and Yaakov could stand proudly and say, Im Lavan Garti V'Tarig Mitzvah Shamarti. We lived in Golis for so many years, but we kept our attachment in whatever form Jews keep that attachment, but to Torah and to Hashem, and to be able to say proudly Im Lavan Garti V'Tarig Mitzvah Shamarti, and we should be able to overcome Esav and all of these Sinai Yisrael once and for all. Have a great Shabbos.